Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Akakadash, Barakatham, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles, great mystery, well to the Akim Akmat, throughout the four corners of the earth, holding on to sincerity and truth, and diligence of mind to the blessed Lord, Hamashak Yahushai, in this time. This is Bamnasha, this camp, short lesson for the hopeful elect. Here, this is just what you have to remember, man. Look at this. It says utility bills are exceeding mortgages in West Virginia, despite Trump's promised cuts. Yeah, man. So you can imagine when your utility bill is more than what you're paying for rent. It's more than what you're paying for your mortgage. Yeah, so this is hilarious. This is what you really call Babylon. You know, yeah, man. It's strange. All right, strange. Yeah, it just shows that the system is not it's not built, to focus on the well-being of the people. It's a system that is feudalistic. All right, and this is just what you have happening across the country. You have to remember, man. Baruch chapter 3 verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and whew, that's that hits your mind, you know, in a strange way, man. And be subject to payments. You're under tribute, man. You're under all types of demands. Everything is just exacted against a person's effort. That's trying to get by from day to day, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Yeah, so this is just what happens when you inherit a system of confusion. You inherit a system of unrighteousness. Poverty becomes the culture. It becomes the foundation of of these people's lives, man. They have to live, breathe, and drink it 24/7, round the clock. All year long. Yeah, from the cradle to the grave. All right. So this is the bitterness of Babylon that we have to deal with, man. So I just play the clip, and then you realize that the Messiah is allowing the people to feel the pain and the curses, man. It's being casted, far and wide, and these Edomites are feeling the pinch too.
$1,218.67. Yeah, for one building.
The rising cost of utilities definitely does have some effect on the reason we're going to just under one roof.
After we went through our first year, we looked at the electric bill, we looked at the rent, we realized we were not going to make enough money. So we had to raise the rent, and that was what started a lot of the rift with the West Virginians, that we were going to have to raise the rent when they'd had camping the same way for so many years.
You're getting $1,300 to $1,500 bills for electric. And West Virginia has decided that they're going to run on coal for at least 2040. You don't have a choice when it comes to electric and water. And so, you can't decide to just not have electric for that month. We're seeing businesses lock up, businesses are closing.
Yeah, so this is what happens. The Babylonian Babylonian dream is fading away. All right. So yeah, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. All right. So this tourism stuff and Virginia entertainment, all that stuff is going down anyway. It's fading away. The economy is not sustainable. There is no support. For the for the economy. So the system is just leeching on itself, man. Just how you see the serpent, eating up its own tail. That's what you have here. So it's basically a system of cannibalism, man. The big fish swallows up the little fish. That's just what it is. You know, it's swallowing up the fish of its own kind. Imagine that. So that's the sadness of Esau's kingdom, man. This is the misery. There are many great miseries, man. Shall come upon Babylon, and this is just a glimpse. That you're gonna see, man. A lot of Edomites can't take it no more. You know, yeah, it's just yeah, that's what happens, man. So Second Ezra chapter 8 and 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Yeah, so that's the judgment that the Lord has cast upon Babylon. The children of Edom have to feel it, man, because Jake has been dealing with this for a long time, man. Jake has been held back from making progress, meaningful progress. From the loss of farmland to the loss of opportunities, even to the loss of their lives. Their livelihoods and all that stuff. Last hired, first fired. Being the butt of every joke. Always claiming that Jake is the main recipient of DEI. So what do you expect? This is what happens, man. When a country that's so-called rich in resources cannot build on that momentum because of the greed of the elites, you know. So that curse, man, is just gonna begin to tear them apart, man. That's just what it is. So now these people are gonna have to petition their government to grant them some relief. Who knows how long that relief will last? But hey, the Most High has to shut it down. All right. So it's gonna be a painful experience for them. They're gonna have to, you know, do whatever they gotta do, man. Yeah, to make it to the next, the next day, the next week.
I try to stay so positive.
Yep. So when the gas prices, is going up, insurance rates are going up. You're gonna see the misery upon the faces of these Edomites, man. The system that was built for them to thrive in is collapsing before their eyes, and there's nothing they can do to prevent it from falling apart. So yeah, it's just how life is, man. For these Edomites, they're gonna have to deal with, the Most High speeding up the downfall of Babylon. Yeah, I'm not gonna extend this lesson, beyond, but get the whole the whole focus, man, that the spirit of Babylon is being broken apart, man. The unions cannot sustain it. The man on the top is not interested in strengthening it anymore, man. So they have to move on to the next stage, which is, they have to hit the system reset. They have to decimate as many communities as much as they can, and for them to preserve their power. So West Virginia is just going to be collateral damage, man. Because once they're done, ripping the whole place apart, they're going to move on. It's not just West Virginia that's dealing with this type of issues, man. You have all those countries in Africa that have been dealing with something similar to this for decades, centuries, man. So Drake is no stranger to this type of life. When you have all those extraction of raw materials from those regions in West Africa, what do you think the people feel like? They feel stressed out, they feel the betrayal, they feel desperate to survive, and they're reduced, to beasts of labor, beasts of burden. All right. So now it's about to be Esau's turn, and they cannot handle it, man. Despite the system built for them to thrive in. Yeah. So that's the point of this lesson. Abaratasa, the Most High will bring the judgment upon them. All right, upon the elites of Edom. So James 5:1 says, "Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl, for your miseries shall come upon you." All right. So now they see that the miseries is about to be at their front door. They're getting nervous. They run into all these what you call it, all these fortresses, man, for protection. You know, so it's gonna be a sight to behold when the Most High begins to expose the elites, man, and see how how they have a mental breakdown when they can no longer keep their control over the people. So that's the conclusion of this lesson. Perhaps we're able to see what else comes out of it, man, because the people are getting fed up, and it's only a matter of time, that the chaos will go into overdrive. Shalom.